What good is a cat if it's not going to eat the mice that it finds in your house?
I tend to find that if a cat is unwilling to hunt, there's a problem with the cat. And that's the main job of a cat is to hunt and
Mm-hmm.
kill small things.
Yeah, supposedly they're an apex predator, and if it's not predating,
When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
take all the roles. Yes. Welcome back to Dad's Meet World, where it's an angry week. Yes, it is a raging week here on Dad's Meet World. And
Raging.
raging. I am dad number one this week, Brett the Bruised, and welcoming you into our weekly deep dive into the world of Boy Meets World. That 90s sitcom darling is my other dad on the microphone.
Raging Tyler.
Raging Tyler, yes. Tyler, how are you this week? What are you raging about?
Well, here's the thing, Brett. I have had some weird feelings over the past, let's call it 6 days. And because I worked the night of Tuesday, so I was listening to everything going down, and then I got to stay awake until I finally went to bed after
Maybe I shouldn't have asked.
gloating. So here's what I'll say. Because the way I process things is a typical of I get angry and then I just kind of sit in the stoop of now what. My wife typically has a very healthy response to big moral and divisive situations, which is what can I do to change any of this? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Is my goal of protecting and loving my family changed? No. Do I still love all the people around me and anyone even I don't know? Will I give them a time of day? Of course. And I am the type that goes, there's a problem, there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. We have to fix this. How can we fix this? How can I, in my little corner of the world, make things better, at least a smidgen, for other people and make sure they know that they're not alone? But if we have a real disaster and real problem, my wife is the one that spirals, and I'm the one that's super peaceful. Like, this is what we're going to do now. You will do this, and then I will do this, and you'll do this, and then I'll do this. So, an episode like this is truly healing for me, Brett. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll spoil it right now, good looking people. This is an A+ episode for me. This is one of my favorite episodes. I can't remember if this is in our top 10 episode we did, but this is one of my favorites of all time. And this is one of those episodes that is, as a middle child, as the second son, this episode is so healing for me. And there was a part of me last night, Brett, because we were going to record last night, it didn't happen. I just had this moment in my stooping, and that's the best way to put it, is I've been stooping, is I just didn't know if I could be funny. And I was like, I don't know if I have it in me to make jokes and to be silly. I know with my kids I can always pull out the silly for my children, but for any of the good-looking people out there, I was like, can I be funny today? Can I make the jokes? And I watched this episode, and I just sat in this goodness that is this episode, and I went, well, even if I can't make funny, I at least know I didn't hit my father, and I'll always have the memory of not punching my father. So,
yes.
I've had better weeks, Brett, but this episode is one of those healing ones, and I'm very happy that we're recording right now. But Brett, how are you?
I'm doing all right. A little sore. I talked off mic, did something to a rib. So, if good-looking people, if you see me wince at all during the recording, if you're watching the video, that's probably why.
It's because
If
he's
I,
old.
I'm old. I don't know what I did to it. I woke up and there was something wrong with it. I have cracked ribs before. This is not as bad as it was then. So I'm not sure if I just have one out of place or if I rolled a muscle that's connected to it or what. But I sneezed this afternoon. It did not feel good. I coughed while you were talking. It did not feel good. So I'm sure good looking people got to look.
I'm convinced the most dangerous thing we do on a daily basis is we go to bed and we dare to allow our bodies to
Oh,
relax and rest.
yeah.
And
It's
when we
scary
need to
getting
get
old,
back
people.
up, it's not ready.
Good looking people don't get old. It's scary. We actually had a good weekend this weekend. We took Abby down to Columbus to check out the Columbus College of Art and Design.
Ooh.
Yeah, they did a big preview day and got to meet some of the staff there, some of the professors, instructors. Got to explore some of what the college offers. It's not a very big campus. We're
Mhm.
talking like a couple of city blocks, just a few buildings, but they have a really good program. It's exactly what she'd be looking for. Very excited about it. Got some really good interaction with some of the instructors, some of the staff there. Her best friend is looking at going there too, so her family met us down there. We actually went down the night before, so Kelly, her, and myself we had a hotel room that we got the night before, so we just kind of got to go down, hang out, get a little, just the three of us, time to get together, hang out. And yeah, so it's a good time for us over the weekend. And
Nice.
yeah, but
While you were
yeah.
having fun, we were cleaning and trying to convince our oldest child, if you actually clean the house, you will not trip over everything.
Oh yes. Well, keep teaching that lesson, because even when they hit 17, they might not remember that lesson so well.
Well, my biggest beef with my child right now, and if he's listening, just know you're on notice. He will, like, with the dog's right here. If he is wiping off his paws and he has the leash, he'll just drop it all right there, right where he's doing it, and just walk away. And I'm like, listen, we have two leashes, one that's nice and one that's okay. And you know how frustrating it is not to know where the nice leash is? And especially when it's just right where you threw it on the floor and your brother comes around full tilt and trips over everything. And then you
Mhm.
end up tripping over stuff and yelling, "Why is this house never clean?" Yeah,
Yeah,
raging. That's what it's like having two boys in the house. There's always rage.
exactly. Yeah, I've got them. Well, well, let's talk about some rage. Let's dive in. Good looking people. We're going to give you some good fun. We're going to give you some therapeutic discussion. We're going to give you something to have fun with tonight because, as Tyler tipped our hand already, we enjoy this episode. But
Yep.
let's get into
Sorry.
it. Good. Oh, that's perfectly fine. Good looking people. We're looking at the 12th episode of season 5 tonight. Raging Cory. Cory gets so upset that Alan engages only in conversation with him, but plays sports with Eric, that he knocks Alan down. So Alan and Eric kidnap Cory and take him skydiving. Afterward, Cory feels better, but now Eric's miffed that he and his dad rarely have meaningful conversations. This episode was written by Barbie Feldman. This is her first of 6 episodes. She'll go on to write episodes like Eric Hollywood, State of the Unions, The Honeymooners, and others. She also wrote for shows like My Name is Earl, Arrested Development, How I Met Your Mother, and others. She was also the co-executive producer of How I Met Your Mother and My Name is Earl.
Hmm.
Directed by David Kendall. Originally aired January 9th, 1998. So this is back into it 3 weeks after A Very Topanga Christmas. So we're through the winter break. Yes, good looking people, this episode takes place in January in Philadelphia. So I'm sure we'll talk about that briefly. currently has a 7.9 IMDb rating. That's 0.2 higher than our last episode, and is tied for 11th place in the season out of the 24 episodes. So, Tyler, our previous episode, our Christmas with Topanga, pulled in a 11.20 in the Nielsen's. How do you think our return to the airwaves came about 3 weeks later in the first episode of 98?
You know, Brett, it's been a while since I've guessed this number, but I'm just going to say it. I think this episode blew everybody out of the water because this is a spectacular, wholesome episode, and it's important to me. And I've watched it at least this many times. So let's go with 20.
Very optimistic. A little bit high there. 13.94.
Hey, 13. I'll take it.
We picked up 2.5 million easy. 11.20 to 13.94. So there's a surge. We'll call it a surge there. But yeah, so there we go. There's our setup, good looking people, and we're gonna jump in with Alan and Eric playing in the driveway. It's basketball, the Matthews Championship.
This season's committed to that basketball hoop and the garage.
Yes, they are. They built this set. They're going to roll it out whenever they can. And yes, I mentioned the one niggling detail issue I have with this episode, and it's not a huge one. It's just it only happens when I watch it in sequence. Because this falls in between A Very Topanga Christmas and Heartbreak Cory, which are both very clearly winter episodes. Very much, yes. and the Eskimo. And these are all three winter episodes. And here we are.
And you are
Eric and Alan out in the driveway in sweats. Cory will go play in the driveway in sweats. Alan's going to be out in the driveway with just a jacket on talking with Amy. The entire episode, and it in the Midwest, it is very, very, it happens. We will get breaks in the winter weather, and this is not an uncommon thing. But in my head, in the midst of those three very wintry episodes, my head says, maybe this episode should have been put a little bit later or a little bit earlier. But anyway, that's the only niggling detail, the only real niggling issue that I wind up having. But the men are playing Matthews Championship. Very clearly, Alan is gassed. They played racquetball in the morning, basketball in the afternoon. Eric wins, sinks the ball. He's doing his little Eric dance. Cory wants in. But because Alan was going to go, he's all right, rematch. Cory wants in. Well, Alan just doesn't have anything left now all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. So what do we think? Was Alan really going to take Eric on in a rematch right there? Or was that just kind of a heat of the moment competitive thing?
Well, I definitely think it was a heat of the moment. Unfortunately, Alan is a typical tough guy who will try to keep things going even when he should not. And, there's a reason why in the second season he hurt himself and is on a couch for a whole episode.
Am I moving? Oh, Lord, I'm rotting.
Oh, yeah. I have to say, what I always like about this episode right off the bat is it shows that Cory comes in with great intentions. Like, hey, Dad, like it's my turn, right? Like, can you and I play? Like, I'll play with you. And it's like, no, buddy, I'm done. I'm tired. It's like, well, you just said you'd play with him. Like, why am I not good enough? Like, let's play together. It's like, no, I said I'm tired. And it's been a while since we've really had a Cory and Alan opposing sides. And, in the past when they've had these moments, Cory was a lot smaller.
Yeah. And the last time we really saw them butt heads that I can put a clear image to is in Wheels when Cory wants to go off and drive and he winds up in the speed trap. And we get ego versus ego. And that's the last time I can really point to where we had them butting heads, so to speak. But it's this whole situation devolves to wrestling over the basketball, which results in Cory saying, "Fine, let go," and Alan's not ready for it, and he falls down on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great moment for Alan, not a great moment for Cory, because out comes Amy and Morgan, and Amy wants to know what happened. Alan's response is, "Ask your son." Really not a great moment for Alan, because that's a bruised ego moment there for a man, for a dad.
Yeah, I mean, on the same token, though, they gotta get out of that scene quickly, and
They do.
I do understand why it's ask your son, because it does also lead into a great line from Eric going, "I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what happened." Yeah, so that's our setup for the whole story, for the whole episode. Cory is raging. He has knocked his father down. So we're going to start the next scene with checking in with, well, we hear Jack yelling from the bedroom. We hear water splashing.
Yeah, it sounds like a waterfall has occurred in his bedroom.
And he walks out soaked. Good looking people, if you ever see a bubble in your ceiling, don't poke it.
Call the landlord.
Which Shawn had the information.
By the way,
the landlord said don't poke it. Apparently the apartment above them flooded some, and yeah, it's pooling in the ceiling. So Jack's room's out of commission, so their solution is he's going to bunk down with Shawn in his room.
Dear Lord Brett, that bedroom.
Oh, it's atrocious. Good looking people. Please do not take this the wrong way. But this type of a bedroom, this type of living, it's not healthy. B, it's dangerous because you can invite all kinds of vermin and potential illness to gather. But 3, I went AB3, I think there. It's downright disgusting. There may be pigs that don't want to live there. Although we do get to see little Cory again. First time since season 3, and he's changed breeds of pig.
Yes, he has.
But he's back. I think it's the last time we'll see little Cory.
It is the last time we'll see little Cory.
But yeah, Shawn is a pig.
Mentioned, though.
Yeah. Shawn is a pig. Jack is disgusted. I'm firmly with Jack on this one. Shawn can live how he likes, but that is just disgusting.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. I really don't. I will say real quick, Brett, I did look to see because I finally figured out how you found the production code, by the way.
Oh yeah.
At least I found my way of finding it. And so as I was looking at it, it does show that Raging Cory and A Very Japan Christmas were made back to back. So it was intended for that to be the follow-up. And I will agree with you in the sense that there are times when the snow goes away, we get a weird 50-degree day, and you can throw your sweats on and be comfortable outside after it's been, 15 degrees consistently, and then all of a sudden 50-degree weather hits you, and you're like, it's like summer out here.
Oh, yeah. I think last year's winter, I shoveled my sidewalk once.
What winter?
Yeah, last year I shoveled once. So, I mean, in the Midwest, this is not uncommon. But this is also Philadelphia, too, which we've seen. I mean, we've talked about winters in Philadelphia, too. I wouldn't go skydiving in January in Philly. I don't care how warm it is.
No, again, this is all fall and spring material. People of LA that don't know what you can and can't do depending on the weather and season. But no Philadelphia company would be sending out people to skydive in January, even on a nice day.
No. But like I said, it's a niggling detail. The episode, I love the episode. It only ever really bugs me if I'm watching it through in sequence in the middle of all those other very wintry episodes. If I'm just grabbing it and putting it in to watch by itself out of the blue on its own here and there, don't even think of it.
I will say this would have been interesting to take place not necessarily like right after the beginning of the season, but like a few episodes in, like episode like 5 or 6, where like we see that Shawn has been in the apartment for like a month, maybe 2 at tops, and to see his room this disgusting already, that would be fascinating. But
that
like,
really would be. I'd be on board for that.
He's been there for maybe 6 months at this point. Like like 6 months or so, maybe 5 or 6. So like, it makes sense why it could be that messy if he never cleaned it once.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, but either way, here we are with.
I will say, I love that Cory tries to come, because at first Jack tries to say, I'm sleeping on the couch, and then Cory walks in, Shawn, I'm sleeping on the couch. My dad and I got into a fight. You hit your dad?
I clipped the whole conversation here just because.
Yes!
Yes. So here we go.
I can't believe you hit your dad. Now, does he have to leave the house in shame? Do you get his woman?
Well, I didn't actually hit him. I shoved him, and he went down. He does all these things with Eric. Why won't he do things with me?
Well, he's afraid you're gonna hit him again.
Eric has a good relationship with him. You know that? They ski together. They go camping together. I even heard them planning on jumping out of a plane together. All we do is talk.
Cory, you have a great relationship with your dad.
I'm not gonna go through the rest of my life as the guy my father talked to. You know, great conversations are not memories you look back on.
You have tons of memories with your dad.
Like what?
Like the time you beat him up. You're gonna talk about that for years.
You're gonna talk about that for years. It's a really
nothing like. Go ahead.
It's a really concise moment there for Cory and Shawn. Cory is very frustrated. All he gets from his dad is talking. He sees Alan and Eric doing all these buddy things, and he wants more than just talking. He thinks that he's going to look back on that, and that's who has great memories of conversations. I want action memories. And Shawn, I have to say, I love Shawn's responses here. Do you get his woman? Well, there's that time you beat him up. You're going to talk about that for years. Shawn is just on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think Shawn is trying to be as lighthearted as he can in this moment, because Cory has a great relationship with his dad. This is one single moment. And also, Shawn has literally been let down by his father his entire life.
Yeah. I mean, Shawn.
And so for Cory to come in and complain about his dad for one little slip up, it has to be frustrating for Shawn, so he has to respond with sass and sarcasm.
Shawn would give anything for his dad to want to have the kind of conversations he has with him that Alan has with Cory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's settled. Cory's going to stay at the apartment and hang low. We're going to switch over to the Matthews kitchen because Alan's up late. It's dark out.
This is my favorite scene in the episode, Brett.
Yeah. He's in his jammies. He's making a snack, and all of a sudden...
No, Alan. Everything's not okay. I know what happened this afternoon between you and Cory.
Yeah?
I waited for you. I waited for Cory. Nothing. Nobody came over. Something like this happens, somebody should come over. I mean, he knocked you on your keister, man. You're obviously upset, so please, can we talk about it so I can get some sleep?
You want to come in, George?
Yes?
Make a little snack. Help yourself.
Don't mind if I do.
Well, you know, George, I mean, it's one thing for the boys to ask for your help, but I am a capable adult. I can handle this on my own.
You were absolutely right. And I am sorry that I intruded on your privacy.
He pushed me down, George.
I love that turn he has. It's perfect.
It is. Oh, Feeney's been waiting all day. He knows what happened. He probably saw it, but he knows what happened. He was probably out gardening when it happened. And you're looking right down the driveway. But he's been waiting all day. This is how it works. Someone comes over. We talk. He knocked you on your keister, man.
Probably been waiting at the fence gardening all day long, expecting someone to walk outside.
Yeah, he's probably pruned the same bush 9 times. But he has been waiting for this family to come to him to seek therapy for their situation. And he's wanted to give them guidance because he can see what's going on. It's hurting him that they're not seeking out help.
I one of the things I love about this season, and I include that in the last season as well, but that Feeney has a dependency on the Matthews, just as they have a dependency on him.
Mm-hmm.
He is just as much a part of that family as he is just their neighbor, and just as the teacher and principal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I honestly, I love the dynamic. When you compare what we had in the first season to the 5th season between Feeney and the Matthews, I mean, we had a very reluctant Feeney to come over and babysit or to fill in as Santa when Eric convinced Morgan that she killed Santa at the mall or any of these other situations. But now you have
him on the phone. What did he say? He said,
But now you have him pounding down the door at night saying,
scaring the living daylights out of Alan.
Condiments flying everywhere. Talk to me about what's going on with your family.
Yeah.
But
this is a beautiful scene.
It is.
And I love the vulnerability of Alan and also George in making clear of, I know what's going on. I know this is bothering you. So either you need to tell me what's going on or I need to go find Cory.
Yeah. But very quickly, Alan goes from trying to shoo him away to spilling his guts. And I mean, he's very clear. He loves the relationship he has with Cory. He loves talking to him. It's the basis of the relationship. Well, maybe that's what's bothering him. George sees it. Alan hadn't seen it up to that point. And it hits him. Well, you never stop teaching, do you, George? And that's right on that scene. Alan has had someone point out to him what the problem is. So we'll find out where he goes from there.
Yeah.
Because we're going to go back to... Go ahead.
I guess I will say that this is the first time I've been able to watch this episode in the dad perspective. I mean, I got the 7-year-old and then one that's almost 2. So it's not quite there yet, but I do know that I'm aging out of being able to do certain things with my older son. Like, it's just the type of play we're doing now is much different than what I'm doing with the younger one. And I can see that the older one gets a little jealous and a little upset that he's not interacting with me in the same way anymore. He's getting a different side of me now. And so it is interesting now seeing things more through the dad's lens of what am I giving to the one son I'm not giving to the other one. Although one child can handle much more of actual parenting, where the other one, you know, we cry very quickly and easily and get very frustrated quickly and easily.
Yeah.
Must be contained, this little one.
Yeah, and there were times in our own family where we have our older two are only 2 years apart, and then our youngest is 5 years after our middle child. And there were times where uh, you can see jealousy amongst the kids as to who's doing what with whom, and times where I can look back and I can see where one might be a little bit more jealous or frustrated at the way I'm interacting with their brother or their sister, and having to try to balance that and keep that in mind, that I don't want to just give a part of myself. I want to keep a good balance with each of my kids and not restrict them to just one type of a relationship with myself. It starts young, even
Yep.
with a 5-year-old. Yeah. So we get into Shawn and Jack's very different sleeping habits.
It's the most intense lamp light I've ever had, Brett. I've never seen a lamp being able to light the whole room and then darken it the moment it's done.
Oh, that is a bright lamp. Yes. Shawn needs the lamp on. Jack wants it off. They fight. Shawn has a tape of Sounds of the Trailer Park, which starts out nice with crickets and maybe a little traffic, but then very quickly devolves into semis and gunfire.
Shut up! Shut up!
And the only way Jack can wake up Shawn, even after turning the tape off, is to turn the light off.
Mm-hmm. An instant wake up.
Oh, yes. It's hilarious. See?
Are you insane?
Yeah. And but the fight that this whole thing devolves into, really, it shows off the class battle. Jack keeps coming back to being raised in a house Shawn wasn't, etc. And that "I'll be here asleep in the dark like normal people" line that he drops at the end before he drops onto the mattress really has to cut deep for Shawn.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they are taking the silliest approach to this situation. They've had the more dramatic, "What are you doing
Mm-hmm.
here? That's my brother" lines, but I do like them taking the more comedic approach to
Mm-hmm.
this, because they are cutting each other deep with some of these things, but they're not responding to it in the way they normally do, which is to walk away.
Yeah. And I like the balance they have with it. They're balancing the hurt with the humor, and they're handling it very well. And so we get the only Topanga in the episode.
Oh my gosh, this is the only time Topanga's in the episode.
Yes, Cory is talking to Topanga about how bad things are. "If this were the Bible, I'd be a father smiter. I'd be Cory, son of Alan the Bruised. If they find you here with me, they'll stone you. Save yourself, Topanga, daughter of Miriam." Oh, Cory is just so overdramatic. And I mean, Topanga's just trying to reassure him things will be fine, but he is just so far into the weeds in his own, "This is so bad. I knocked my father down." I noticed through this whole thing, Cory has never said, "I beat up my dad." "I knocked my father down. I pushed my
Mhm.
father down." Not "I punched him," not "I decked him," not "I beat him up." It's just "I pushed him down." Even
Mhm.
though Cory is taking this way out of biblical proportions here,
Literally.
he still understands all he did was push him to the ground.
Mhm. No, he's being dramatic, and it's mostly because he knew he disappointed and upset his father.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. He crossed a line, and he's
Mhm.
not sure how to get back over that line. And he doesn't want to talk about it because that's all they do is they talk about it and they share their feelings and emotions.
Yes.
So, I just I love the transition in this scene because she's just trying to say, you need to talk to him. Go talk to him. That's what you do. Talk. You should talk. What you two do. You talk to each other. He goes, I don't want to talk to him. Open the door. You're coming with us. Can we talk about it?
I love it. It's perfect. It's just seamless.
Well, and it's the way there's a lot of scenes in this, as we know that Boy Meets World has been doing a lot, but the way it flows together, it doesn't feel as jumbled.
Mhm.
You know, like Girl Meets World in the future, spoiler alert, has many a moments of dramatic line is said, oh, whoa, whoa, and now we're finishing the lesson in the kitchen. And it's like, what happened to the rest of school day?
Mhm.
So it's just the way this episode transitions works well. So yes, there's lots of cuts, but it doesn't feel as dramatic. It's
Yeah,
not an MCU fight.
it's a very well paced episode. They've blocked it out and they marked it out very well, and I appreciate what Barbie put into it. It's all of a sudden, Alan's plan was to take Cory skydiving with him and Eric, since Cory wants more than just talking. And we get shouting from the jump master. Our only guest this episode, Steve Park, is the jump master. First and only time we'll see him on Boy Meets World. 75 acting credits under his name, including Kindergarten Cop, MacGyver, the original, Murder, She Wrote, Martin, Friends, Fargo, The Venture Brothers, Law and Order, White Collar, Elementary, The Mindy Project, Person of Interest, and more. Yes. Yeah, I knew he looked familiar, and I start going through his IMDb. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, yeah, I seen him there.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
What do you mean deploy?
Oh, this whole scene. If I could clip this whole scene, I would, because there's just so much gold here. But we'll get copyright struck right away, and I'll have to re-edit
Yes,
the
we
whole
will.
episode. But it boils down to this: all of this shouting. Alan tells Cory he understands what's going on. He wants to give Cory a whole relationship, but he doesn't want to lose what he finds most special. He doesn't want to lose talking to him, because he finds that a very important and very special part of the relationship he has with Cory. He doesn't want to lose that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cory appreciates that. He finally expressed his feelings, which is something the Matthews men struggle with all the time. And B, that he, in expressing his feelings, he also made the effort to bring Cory into doing some more of the buddy stuff that he very clearly wanted to do with Alan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go from timid Cory to, all right, let's go. Alan and Eric are saying, what the heck?
I like how they make it clear, because like Alan and Eric, they're now scared, and Cory's like, oh, you don't think I can keep up with the two of you, so I'm doing this now, which is fitting for the character.
Yes, it is.
And I love how he just jumps out, and Alan's like, oh my gosh, he did it.
I love that. Rusty's acting is fantastic. His comedic acting with what he does with his body, and oh, that was bad.
Go get him. Go get him.
Yes. And Eric realizing in the plane that I really don't have that type of a talking conversation. Dad and I don't share anything deep and meaningful. We just do buddy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did clip that part of the plane conversation.
Hey, how come like I don't have that special relationship like you have with Cory? What? Like, do you value my views and opinions on things?
Oh, good. His chute open.
That's great. Listen, all we ever do is buddy stuff. We have nothing. I want more. From this moment on, you gotta start listening to my views on philosophy, politics, and what makes the universe go round.
I don't think so.
Hey, I'm talking to you!
Good on Eric for standing up and saying, hey, I want more too.
Mm-hmm.
Bad on Alan for saying, I don't think so, and then jumping out of the plane.
Alan does not look good this episode. He
does not.
petty. He is a little vindictive, and he is controlling just a smidgen, and not really paying attention to his children's needs.
we see it is seriously one step forward, two steps back here, because we see Alan realize everything is going on with Cory. We see him do the work to fix what's going on with Cory and repair that relationship, and then turn around and create an even bigger rift with Eric, because in having it pointed out to him by Eric that he's done the exact same thing to Eric, just in a swapped manner, he actively tells him no. And in the next scene where Eric is interrupting the basketball game with Cory and Alan, Eric points out, you jumped out of a plane rather than talk to me. Oh, I was sucked out. You hit the ground running rather than talk to me.
What does that car ride look like, Brett? Is Eric just in the back, just stewing, not really knowing what words to say to describe how he feels?
He
and
just
it's not
had
until
to be.
He gets dropped off at the apartment, maybe takes a shower, and he finally realizes, oh, I know exactly how I feel. And that's when he goes and
that is the
confronts him.
only way I can imagine it would have happened, because it had to have been dead silent for him to not said anything to this point. He had to just been trying to formulate how to say anything. But yeah, and we get this we get the same situation between him and Alan that we had between him and Cory, where they're fighting over the ball, and it's not so that they can play basketball, it's because he wants Alan to talk to him.
Yeah.
And he won't. So he lets go of the ball. Alan goes flying again. Here comes Amy. Amy and Morgan. Alan doesn't want Morgan to come near him. Priceless. And Alan is back where he started again. He has fixed one relationship and damaged the other one because he actively had a hand in it this time. Yeah. And so
I think this is by far the worst situation for him, because he had, quote unquote, the right relationship with the older son. The younger one called him out on it, and the older one slowly realizes, oh, I don't have what I want out of this also. So I want to get more into the back and forth of the brothers and dad relationship. I think we need to wrap up the Shawn and Jack stuff.
Yeah, because
it's just this next scene and that's it.
It's at the they're fighting. Jack recorded Shawn snoring because apparently that's another issue that they're having with sharing the space. Shawn doesn't believe he snores.
I'm going to the market to pick up some eggs. Rub 2 eggs together and you'll get a spark. My head's on fire. Someone please put it out.
Snoring and talking at the same time. That's what it was.
You awake? What kind of moron are you?
And it
that
escalates.
Is brotherly conversation if I've ever seen it.
Oh, yeah. And it escalates because Jack recorded over sounds of the trailer park. Oh, he can just get another one by going to the car wash. Well, I don't have a car. And it devolves into hoity-toity, stuck-up, middle-class snot being hurled at Jack. We get a fist fight wrestling match, essentially, where they're hurling each other around on the bed, taking turns pinning each other, talking about broken family relationships. Shawn again, I didn't know my family. I wish I did. Jack saying, I wish I had known I had a brother so we could have had these kinds of interactions sooner. And it ends with Jack pinning him and saying, say uncle. I don't know my uncle. And then pinning him and saying uncle. and he talks about his uncle who's in the box business again, completely ignoring Uncle Mike. But okay, we'll put that aside.
The whole Hunter clan. It's just
Yeah.
That's a continuity thing that we don't have to worry about, Brett. The joke is more important.
Yes.
I do love that their fight starts with because Jack starts just throwing garbage around and upsetting the pig, and he goes, "Now come on, clean up this mess."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. The thing I like about it is they're actually communicating with one another. They're making a memory for themselves. They always
They
remember the
are.
time that they
They're-
stayed in the same room and beat each other up.
They are. They're going to
Um,
remember the time they wrestled. They remember the time that they talked while wrestling. That room is not getting cleaned up, but they're going to remember that they built something there in the midst of that pigsty.
They are bonding with each other and actually becoming real brothers. Because I can't count the amount of times I'm sure as a kid that my brother and I wrestled, and those are those little things I think about as I'm now older and as an adult. So,
Mm-hmm.
and as my wife tries to ask me, is this all they're going to do to each other? I'm like, yeah, this is literally all they're ever going to do to each other.
That's how it works.
Yeah. I do like in the next scene, it's Eric calling, what did he say? It was Philly General asking about how many middle-aged men have been admitted for basketball injuries.
Oh, that
many, huh?
But Cory walks in. Eric he's going into the witness protection program. He's tomorrow he'll be Dr. Abraham Shapiro, a New Jersey cardiologist. But he confesses to Cory he wants to be able to talk about important stuff with Alan too. He wants what Cory has with Alan. And so we're gonna get you already talked to Jack, and we'll cut to Eric is going to be hanging out by the elevator, fake mustache on, sneaks into the elevator, doesn't realize Alan and Cory are there waiting for him, Dr. Shapiro, I presume. And they've kidnapped him to take him to an art museum that that Alan and Cory like to go to. They took Cory to go skydiving with them, an activity they were going to do together. So they've taken Eric to a museum. They like to go to pick out a piece and see if they can figure out what the artist was trying to say with it. And so,
well, I will say real quick, we did skip the.
I just realized I'm looking at it as I skipped over a really great scene between Alan and Amy. Yes,
that's okay. I do love this scene between the two of them because it just makes clear of Amy pointing out nicely and very sweetly, you're the one that's messed up in this, right? Yeah. Like the boys aren't in the wrong for once. Like they're calling you out for not giving them what they both want.
Yep. And that he defines a relationship that he has with his sons, that he's been letting them define the relationship up to this point. And that he needs to be the one that's defining the relationship and being more active in that. And so, but yeah, it's a great, it's not a long scene. We're talking 90 seconds of the episode at most, but it's a great little scene in there. It's a great moment for Amy talking with her husband, pointing out very gently, but firmly, you have been screwing up. Your kids are calling you out. As the expression goes, F around and find out. That's as blue language you'll get from us good looking people.
At least
now,
for you.
Now
I might take a dark turn here soon.
Now you're in the find out phase, Alan. But she lovingly, tells him, hey, you're a great son to a daughter and to a son. You have two sons. So, but yes, and then we're at the museum, and we're gonna hear Eric's interpretation of the piece that they look at. And I did, of course, clip this one because this is the linchpin for the entire episode for me.
Yep.
Monkey. 2 two monkeys. And they're fighting over a coconut which symbolizes the father monkey's attention.
This may not have been a good idea.
Well, Dad, it is open to interpretation, you know. My interpretation is that the artist is illustrating a very painful situation where the father monkey has two sons but only one coconut, so he splits the coconut in half, but only half a coconut isn't enough for either son.
Uh-huh.
So, what kind of art you want to talk about now? Neoclassicism, Impressionism, photographic art. Ansel Adams, American Landscape, he's probably my favorite. But you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
In this scene, all three of them are fantastic in this scene. We get to see Eric. We get to see the facade of doofus Eric gone. The veneer's gone.
Mhm.
Sure, he's probably using this as a little bit of a pointed commentary towards their situation, but I'm sure he sees some of this in the art itself. But he also points out after his commentary on the art, I have interests as well in classicism, impressionism, photography, Ansel Adams. In the wide shot, you can see Ben reacting as Cory with an astonished look on his face, realizing my brother has depths I didn't realize. Rusty's got some very subtle acting choices as Alan, where he's taking this all in as it comes in, and you're seeing, no, he didn't realize. And all of these very subtle choices make for a very powerful, very simple scene where a father and his son are just coming to the table, laying their cards down, the son saying, look, I have a lot more to offer than I've been giving you. And up to this point, Eric says he's always trying to be the person that he thought Alan wanted him to be. And that to me was just is the heartbreaking part. Sure, Alan not realizing Eric has all this depth to him. I mean, he knows there's more to him than just the goofiness. He knows there's more to him than just the buddy stuff, but he didn't realize how deep those waters went. That's heartbreaking in itself. But Eric molding himself to what he thought Alan wanted him to be, that's the tragedy for me. To see the son try to be what he thought the dad wanted him to be, because Alan was not dictating the role of the relationship.
Yeah. Well, and there's also a level of heartbreak to that as well, that, you know, Eric worked at the store, the Price Mart, with Alan for an undisclosed amount of time, at least for the first season. He worked a season with him at the outdoor store, although we haven't mentioned the outdoor store at all this season.
We have
but, you know, timeline wise, it's roughly a year to 2 years he worked for him, worked with him directly. He, him, maybe another employee at different times. So the fact that over all this time, all they've done is buddy stuff is really sad. You know, I think about my own relationship with my dad, because I do have an older brother, and I spent a lot of my younger years feeling like dad only wants to spend time with older brother. Dad only wants to do stuff with him. It wasn't until he went off to school that I got him all to myself. And I felt like, oh, it wasn't that he only wanted to spend time with him. He was just the first one. So they got to do things alone, the two of them. And it wasn't until he kind of went away for a little bit that it could just be him and I was like, oh, okay, it's just different, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. And then when it's, me and my brother and my dad doing something, it's different again. Um, there's nothing wrong with that, but
Mm-hmm.
there's different dynamics at work. Um, and I'll even share, like, because my dad and I would do a lot of buddy buddy stuff together, but we would spend a lot of time, um, especially when my brother went off to school, of taking him back to school and then going back home in the same day. So we get in the car early afternoon and wouldn't be back until it was dark, sometimes maybe close to midnight, depending upon how traffic was and if we how many stops we had to make. And but those are memories for me I'm never gonna forget. Um
Mm-hmm.
and the one I'm thinking about right now is when I got married in 2013. My dad came down, got me, and then brought me back home because the way everything was going to work out, we were like, there's no point of my wife and I both having both vehicles down here for us to awkwardly both drive back as a married couple in two separate vehicles. That just feels weird. Let's not do that. And so my dad came, got me, drove me back. And I just remember kind of feeling this sense of finality. This is the last time my dad's picking me up to take me home. Uh, so it's just these little moments you get with your dad, and these little moments I'm sure that my son is going to hold on to, that I'm not, both sons, that I'm not going to ever really understand. And they might not even communicate just how special they were to them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's complicated having a father son relationship. And it's, I can't go on another tangent. It's complicated. um, especially for Alan's generation of dads, of their dads never told them that they loved them. They acted like it, they did all the things, but did they really ever say to their dad, I love you, I'm proud of you? No. Some
Mm-hmm.
did, not many. So I'll let you talk.
No, I think that's a great button for it. It really is. It's a very true to life story. Alan, Eric, Cory, they go through what a lot of us go through. It's put on screen for us to see. And sometimes it's not as simple a fix as it is what we see on screen.
Yeah.
Sometimes we make it more difficult than it needs to be to fix it, but I think that's an issue that we all deal with to some extent.
Yeah.
Building a relationship with your father is it's a very unique experience.
hmm
Mhm.
I've heard it said that, I don't know how much I agree with it or not, but fatherhood, for a dad to parent his son, you are training your replacement, and you're trying to figure out what is it, the things you absolutely want them to know before you're gone. And I do like that, because I'll say that my grandfather understood how to fix anything from a car to a bench, any sort of woodworking thing, how to build a house. He could do any of those things, and my dad can do most of those things and do them well.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad is better at being present, being there. My dad coached me, and so I wish I knew better about how to build things, fix things, mend things, but it's more important to me that I'm a better dad being present, being a coach, and spending that time doing stuff with my son. So it's the things that you pass on. That's the thing that is so impactful. I think so.
All right. So before I go to the tag, did you have anything in your deep dives about the artist for this art piece?
The only thing I could really find is that the actual artist doesn't exist.
Okay. Well,
Unless you have something different.
I have information on the artist.
Okay.
The artist that is on the plaque for Two Monkeys, the art piece these guys are looking at, is given as Craig Conover. This is actually not an artist. This is a craft services person for the show, who also served on shows such as Just Shoot Me, Charmed, Arliss, Judging Amy, and the movie Sorority Boys. So it was really just kind of a on-camera shout out to someone who worked behind the camera for the production. So Craig Conover, not an actual artist in the traditional sense, but I'm sure an artist behind the scenes who craft services provides all the food and other such sundries to the actors, producers, directors, crew behind the scenes so that they can actually get through their day. So this was their way of kind of thanking him.
Well, and this show has been really good about honoring the people behind the scenes as well, I've noticed. So it is always nice whenever TV shows acknowledge all of the people that are required to make the show happen, not just the cast and directors, producers, all those people, but the people that truly make a difference.
Indeed. So we end with the tag, which is Alan taking the basketball hoop down because no good can come of it. Morgan is interrupting him. That's who he tells no good can come of it. And it ends with them sitting down on the little block wall there on the side of the driveway, and they're having a conversation about their relationship. We talk, right? Yeah, we do things together, right? And he looks at her and says, I should have had all girls. And it ends on a high five. And that good-looking people is Raging Cory. So,
Yes.
Tyler, tell me, do you have any deep dives for us?
Oh, I suppose.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
All right, so there's not really an official children's book called Goodnight Light, but there is one. It's a classic called Goodnight Moon.
Oh, yes.
Which does have a line in it, Goodnight Light. Anytime we've read that in the past, I always go, yes, you said goodnight to that thing already. Move on. But, dealing with a child that doesn't want to go to sleep, I fully get it. So, American children's book written by Margaret Wise Brown, illustrated by Clement Hurd. It was published September 3rd, 1947. It is a highly acclaimed bedtime story. Apparently there are some follow-ups. The Runaway Bunny and My World. Published under collected titles Over the Moon. Interesting. If you haven't read the book, essentially it's just a little child, or in this case, a world full of bunnies, I believe. That the child is just constantly saying goodnight to something else. All the things around the room is just essentially saying goodnight to. It is adorable. It has shown up in other books over the years, so it's a children's classic for sure.
It is.
Skydiving, a method of descending from a high point in the atmosphere. Wow. Sorry. To the ground or ocean surface with the aid of gravity involving the control speed during descent using a parachute or multiple parachutes. The first parachute jump in history was made on October 22nd, 1797. Frenchman André Jacques Garnerin. Above Parc Monaco, Paris. The descent was 3,000 feet from a hot air balloon. Interesting. I will say this is a classic 90s trope for television shows. Off the top of my head, I can think of Full House did this. Later on, Saved by the Bell, the college years did the same thing. I'm sure if we all collectively continue to think about it, there's, I'm sure, plenty more 90s shows that did this.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what the deal with the popularity of skydiving in the 90s was.
It just caught on.
Yeah.
That's really all there was to it. It became the thing.
Those Gen Zers. Oh, yes. This is the one I was looking forward to the most. Common injuries when playing sports after 40s. Loss of bone mass. After 40s, we begin to lose bone faster than we rebuild it. This leads to a lower bone density, where bones are more fragile and are prone to fractures. Loss of muscle mass begins to decline beginning in your late 30s. Boy, I already feel that. This occurs more intensely as we grow older, and especially in people who are sedentary. Apparently.
Yeah.
The cartilage that cushions our bones and joints start to hold less water as we grow fast, or as we grow older. Cartilage is dry and is more likely to wear and tear as we move. Tendons also become drier and stiffer, making them more likely to tear or rupture when overstretched. That also could be applied to when we try to Batman too late in our lives. You know, not having any cartilage in our leg is quite hard to deal with.
Yeah, but then we get to wear that really cool brace.
I know, but they never do anything with that brace. That always bothered me. Like,
I
no
know.
cool, like, multi-person kick. Like, you didn't kick one guy into like 20. Like, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, it would have been.
Ligaments become less flexible as we age. Therefore, when using beyond a certain point, these aging ligaments are more likely to sustain damage. Lifestyle factors. Some people may experience aging in their bones, muscles, joints at an earlier age. Boy, you're telling me. These may be due to lifestyle factors, including diet, body weight, and activity level. Are you in your 40s and you would like to start playing more sports in order to maximize the health benefits exercising begins? With increased age comes a greater risk of injury, especially for those without regular workout regimens. We dive into 4 common sports injuries. Okay. Basically, back pain, calf strains, shin splints. Shin splints are the worst. Knee injuries, hip bruisements, rotator cuff tenderness, rotator cuff injuries, ankle sprains, knee ligament injuries, hamstring strains, shoulder problems, neck pain, lower back pain, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. Basically, as you get older, when you play sports, you gotta realize something. You're not as young as you used to be.
You want some actual competition?
Thank you. And last but not least, Ansel Adams, American photographer, born February 20th, 1902 in San Francisco. Passed away, unfortunately, April 22nd, 1984. Ansel Adams was most important American landscape photographer of the 20th centuries. He might also be most widely known and respected for all American photographers who legend continues through books and television documentaries, through the prevalent reproduction of his work on calendars, posters, postcards, and other ephemerum, or I don't know. Adams' professional life was dedicated to the capturing through his lens the forgotten and unspoiled wilderness of American national parks and other protected conservation areas in the West. He was a committed environmentalist and nothing short of an icon of the 20th century conservation movement. He also founded a group called Group F64, whose commitment was to the idea of a pure or higher photography helped shape the history of early to mid 20th century modernism and secured photography place as fine art within it. So, pretty important guy in all things considered.
Indeed.
Anytime they drop an actual name, I always find it fun to go and find out who that is.
Yes.
So, I do remember once upon a time, and I don't remember where I found it, but there was an actual piece that's just like that had a similar explanation. That was legit. That I cannot for the life of me remember when or how or if I actually found that. So let's just pretend like I did, Brett. And
I see where you're coming from, kid.
yes, thank you. But we'll end, Brett, I guess, with we're two dads who have two sons and then some. So
Mhm.
how do we find balance in raising two boys, and then also there is another one attached to that as well. So Brett, I guess, how do you find the balance of raising you can say two teenagers at one time or just the two boys at the moment? Who gets your mind, who gets your brain, who gets your body?
It depends on the day.
Mhm.
There is no balance from one day to the next. Each day is its own adventure. And that's honestly the secret, is knowing that each day is going to be its own thing. That when I know that I'm spending time with, say, spent this weekend with a lot of time devoted to spending with Abby, getting her down to Columbus, spending time relaxing and just chilling, and getting to do a lot of stuff in Columbus while we were exploring the campus. That was a lot of time with Abby. And so now I'm working on how do I get to mark out time to spend with Toby and how to spend time with Asher. With Asher, it's really easy because right now Asher just wants to sit and talk or sit and play games. And those are the things he likes to do. And so I pick him up every day after school. We sit down, we talk about his day, we talk about things that he's got on his mind, and then we'll watch YouTube together or we'll play something together. With Toby, that takes a little more work. And so I'm still working on kind of a balance for, actually, with Toby right now, it's working on helping to get him ready for his getting his temps. So, and is that actually with Toby with his temps that will actually allow us to combine a lot. When you have a good looking people, if you're a dad and you have a teenager who's getting to be old enough to drive, you get to combine a lot of doing stuff together and talking together as long as you can multitask.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Tyler, how do you find the balance?
Well, I mean, again, I'm really early in this game, but I know for me, uh, the way that we often look at things right now is what two are we typically having, and what two are experiencing stuff at the moment? Because either the two babies are doing stuff together, and the oldest one is kind of off on his own, or we have the two boys together, and what are we doing with those two, and we can do a little bit more with them together. But then it's always interesting having what we've just lovingly referred to as the brats, so the oldest and the youngest together. And it's
Mhm.
just kind of how are we balancing within that? Because we will, like, if I need to go run an errand, that's not going to take me long, but I'm not going to leave Sarah alone with all three of them. I'll just grab one of them and be like, okay, I'm taking this one and I'm going. Most often it's Henry at this point. So it's the younger one. So it's just, from my vantage point, it's when I'm with them one on one, they're getting all of me. They're getting
Mhm.
silly faces. They're getting me talking to them like they're just one of the other guys, for lack of better wording. Like I'll talk to I'll talk to Henry sometimes like he's his older brother without thinking about it, and he'll just look at me just so happy. And um you know I don't try to be the dad that's like, I'm only going to talk to you at your level. Like, I'll talk to you a little bit higher of a level and see what you can handle, fully
Mhm.
knowing you're not going to remember these conversations, but what you will remember is the emotion you feel, and that emotion will last a long time. So
Mhm.
I'm just trying to balance the best I can of when I'm with everybody, everyone's getting my best, or I'm being honest on daddy doesn't have much right now. I need everyone to be a little patient with daddy, and, trying to be fair.
Yep.
You know, Grayson has an unfair advantage because he gets more time with me, doing sports right now, and he is the oldest. So if I'm going to go to the farm and uh, get do stuff for hunting, I'm taking him with me because he's getting close to going out himself and um,
Mhm.
participating. So, um, but eventually the other one's going to come along, and um, I, being the younger brother, I have a different perspective for both of the two boys. The one, I can always tell him, hey, this other one is always going to want to be a part of your life and is always going to look up to you and will always try to be like you. So either accept it, deal with it, and be a good influence. And the other one, I can say, it's okay if he pushes you away. You will be all right. He loves you. Give him a break. So,
Yes.
so yeah, Brett, those are the deep dives.
All right. Well, in that case,
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
what did you learn from this episode, Tyler?
Don't fight over a basketball.
Deep
No,
wisdom.
I mean, to be fair and direct, it really just comes down to, you are, as the dad, for me, thinking of my children, you set the relationship. Like, you set the boundaries of what you will or will not do with your children. And so helping them to understand that either you, sorry, I don't want to phrase this. helping them understand that whatever is going on, you are willing to be there to support them, even if you might think they're wrong. And also just kind of allowing them to have a free space with you where it doesn't matter what's going on, dad is here, dad cares about you. Um, you know, one of the things I'll say is that we're entering a phase right now of pure pure rage at points for my oldest son and dealing through that. And we've had a lot of times when he has tried to bail because that's what a lot of times if he starts to get frustrated, he wants to get away, he wants to get space, and I'll grab him and I'll hold him and I'll say, "Is what is going on right now so bad you have to leave?" A lot of times we'll talk through. You need to breathe. Let's talk about this. Is this so bad? Well, no. Can we work through it in this moment and deal with the problem? Yes. And if
Mhm.
he says to me, "No, I can't. Please let me go. I need to go," I go, "I will let you go. But I'm here. I'm here to support you. I care about you. But if you need space, I'll give you the space." Um, I've been finding that's been helpful for us because we often think that our parents aren't on our side when we're starting to feel emotions and deal with our stuff. But you know, just so you know, good looking people, if you're a young one out there, your parents care when you're dealing with stuff.
We do.
So, what'd you learn, Brett?
Not a whole lot different. You dictate the parameters of your relationship with your children. So this is directly a learning for parents. You decide how much or how little you give to them, and don't shortchange them and give them an incomplete relationship with yourself. It's something that I have to work out all the time. It is something that I have to remind myself of all the time, and it's always good to be reminded. So it's very easy as a parent to slip into autopilot sometimes, and so
Mhm.
it's good to be reminded not to.
Hey, here's a quick freebie, Brett. Work out your crap with your brother, or you're gonna have to deal with that someday.
There you go.
Don't wanna.
That's a good one.
A
Well,
goobwa?
well timed out. Very impressed with that one, Brett.
So,
I'm right.
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
how do you grade this episode, Tyler? As if we didn't already know.
Oh, it's an A plus. I mean, this is the most A plus I can be without going into S tier. Like this is just, it's so good. I wish that continuity wise, this wouldn't be right after Christmas, but I'm gonna pretend like there was a quick heat wave that came over, and Philadelphia was in jubilation, and people even decided, hey, we're gonna do discount skydiving. Sign up this weekend. Who knows? But
Yeah, the 90s
um,
didn't care so much about safety.
no, this is a great episode, Brad. So you can't bring me down, Brad. It's an A plus.
Who said I was going to try to bring you down? I'm giving it an A plus too.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
been a
like I
while
said,
since we've agreed upon it.
like I said at the beginning, the whole weather thing is really the only niggling issue that I have, and it only pops up when I watch it in sequence. If I pull it out on its own here and there to watch, I don't even notice it because this can fall any time of the season. But yeah, I mean, we just sat here for the last almost 90 minutes extolling the virtues of the episode and how much it impacts us both as dads. So A plus for me. So I do have two dad jokes for you. Technically, I have four, but I jettisoned two of them because I found two better. So I have a friend who opened up a petting zoo with just one bull, but nobody has been going because he was charging too much.
Very nice.
All right. And number
Took me
two
a
for
second.
you. Yeah. It's a thinker. My father, speaking of dads, worked 12 hours a day, every day, to put food on the table for us. He was a great man, but he sure was a slow cook.
Now, I'm going to say real quick, Brett, I take that as a personal attack.
Well, good looking people. It's been another good week. Hopefully we brought you some joy and some laughter and some good encouragement if you find yourself as a dad or a parent, period. You can always reach out to us with your own stories, your own encouragement, your own questions at across social media at dadsmeetworld on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, YouTube. You can also email us at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And we know Christmas is coming. If you're listening to this as we release it in November, dadsmeetworld.threadless.com for some Dad Meet World merch, like on Steve the Skeleton back here. We got all kinds of cool stuff there. Get some swag and show off the dad love so others can find us and leave a review. Yeah.
We need more joy in this world, people. We need more joy.
So spread the joy. And until
Spread
next
the joy.
time, I'll see you good looking.
Back to you, good looking. Where are the Timbers?
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? I want to be normal, Spud.
We are the Timmers.
Topanga.
This is good TV.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.